Hey, what's good, everybody out in Blokpax land? We got some cool stuff coming today. Today is our Kobe day. We're going to finally get the asset-proof minting out and kind of get that ball rolling. And have a couple other cool things that are going to come with that. But I wanted to, before I drop that here a little bit later, I wanted to cut a video for the community to where I just talk about the general state of affairs in the world of NFTs right now. Because I know that a lot of you that onboarded in our project, we were your first taste of NFTs. And I know that a lot of you that came in, you did other things besides just Blokpax. You bought PFP projects, you bought some art. I mean, we could see that in the different wallets. So I know that that was definitely taking place. And as you look around right now, it's like, man, where's all these big NFT gains that everybody thought that they were going to get when they moved into this space? Because it was white hot even just a month ago. And today it's pretty cold. And I want to make sure that everybody kind of understands some of the dynamics that are affecting this. And look, if you've been in cards for a long time, because I think a lot of you that came into the project and were new to the NFT space, you probably came out of the world of cards. I mean, over the years, how many times have cards gone into down market slumps? How many times have we heard, oh, cards are dead? I mean, hell, we just had a down slump come out of February, March. We had this big run up and then things kind of went down through the summer. And now we've seen it kind of hit a nice solid floor bottom, and I think cards are kind of on a nice general upward trajectory again when it feels like we have a nice solid base underneath us. The thing you have to understand in NFTs, a lot of that stuff, it ripped up really aggressively with no real value foundation under it, meaning that people were holding for the sake of holding. There was a lot of FOMO. A lot of people had very high paper gains on paper. And then when the market turned soft, a lot of those people wanted to get out and get those gains. And that just put a lot of downward pressure on the market. And you combine that with the fact that ETH and other currencies right now, after the ETF on Bitcoin and a lot of inflationary triggers in the broader market here, not just in the US, but globally, driving a lot of people into crypto. We've seen the price of Ether just rip. We've seen the price of pretty much every currency rip. And in that, another thing that's happening for Ethereum is that DeFi is super active right now, and it's putting a ton of network pressure. So gas is through the roof. It's really hard to find a good gas window right now, and it's because of all of these positions that are opening and closing on the DeFi side. It's not NFTs that drive it. If you go into OpenSea, look at OpenSea's daily volume, you'll see that it is a fraction of what it was a month or two ago. But what I want to make sure that everybody understands with Blokpax, we are building things that are built for the long term. When you look at your Jordan, your Collision Jordan, when you look at the Kobe that we're about to put out, when you look at the things that we're doing with the heirloom fractionals and the things that we're doing with crowd slabs, putting this real life physical aspect underneath these things to help weather storms when they come. And that's just one of the things that we're trying to build on and really trying to build long. One of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid gas, the pressures that can have on our marketplaces. I'm going to talk about some things when we, a little bit later, some things that we're doing specifically to help with gas within our community. I am 100% confident that Collision lives in the right place with these big, huge assets. It lives in the right place on main chain, but I'm not at all blind to the fact that if you're holding a Sunlight Edition right now and you want to sell it, it's almost as much in gas as it is in asset value. That's not lost on me, but that's not going to be the case forever. Proof of stake is coming. These things will be smoothed out, and we want that project to be where there will be the most access to liquidity in the future. Some of these other things where we're looking at their higher volume, lower dollar prices, I feel really good having them on Matic. I really like where we're putting crowd slabs over on Matic. I'm really happy with fractionals on Matic. I'm really happy with the RAS on Matic. But we have a problem with gas going from main chain to Matic. We're going to bring a solution for that problem here in the coming days for our community. And so we're working to solve a lot of those problems. But I want you to understand that overall, I feel really good about the position that we have in the market. Now, one of the things that I want to just kind of make sure that we all are level set on, the Blokpax RAS sweepstakes, it's a game. It's a game. If you win a card, Amazing. That's great. That's wonderful. It's a game that's built to gamify that experience and help put more cards onto the blockchain. And I hope that people aren't looking at that as an investment. I hope that people aren't looking at that as something that that they're spending more than they can maybe afford on it. I've seen some indicators that that might be the case as this downward pressure happens and people feel like, oh, my other NFTs are down. I want to exit some stuff, and they just start feeling pressure. You look at the fractionals that you've received and the different bonus rewards that have come with the different drops and that sort of thing, and you start looking at that as possible exit liquidity and that sort of thing. But it's one of the things that's important to understand. We are so early in our demand build cycle right now, so early. There are only about 300,000 total wallets that are active in the decentralized NFT space. This is so super early. I love our early products and where they can go long term. For those that weren't here, I want you to know and understand, CryptoPunks did not come out the gate and all of a sudden cost $500,000. They were $10 to $20 for years. Actually, I guess some of the better ones maybe got up around $1,000. But you could buy CryptoPunks dirt cheap for years before they finally found their place and people decided that they were important, and then they ran up. Most NFT projects, fast forward or back up more than say 6 months ago, go back into last year. Most NFT projects did not instantly fill. There were not gas wars. It didn't happen. Things took time to fill. So when you see these roadmaps in projects where they say, when we hit 10%, we're going to do this thing. When we hit 20%, we're going to do that thing. Here, when it was kind of peaked a month to 3 to 4 months ago, those numbers were hit in the span of 5 minutes. That wasn't always the case. And so there was a lot of exuberance in the market a few months ago that I knew wasn't sustainable. And I think most people probably felt that it wasn't sustainable. And I think we're now seeing some of the back end of that. I expect that what will happen is eventually things are going to sort themselves out with Ether. I like my Ether investments. Who wouldn't at this point, right? But at the same time, I think it would be kind of silly to think that that's just going to rip on up to $10,000 in a blink. I'd be happy if it did, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that things are going to normalize. When you look at the broader economy, as the quantitative easing stops, meaning that the government they announced this week they're going to start pulling down the amount of bonds that governments are buying. That's essentially where the government prints money, and when the government is printing money, that creates inflation. And right now, there's a lot of fear around inflation. People see crypto as a really strong hedge to that. That's another thing that's been driving both Bitcoin, Ether, and then all of the other altcoins has been those inflationary pressures. As the government announces they're going to pull back on that quantitative easing, and they cut that here over the next 12 months, I don't feel like Ether is going to rip up to $10,000. And so I think it's going to find its balance here. And when it does, I think we have some really positive things overall that are happening. Coinbase is coming. They've said they're coming with NFTs. When Coinbase brings in their 4 million wallets, that could have a huge impact on the NFT space. And so I think there's a lot of things as we look that are, we're in this lull period, but I think there's a lot of things that we can be positive about being here in the NFT space. So I just wanted to put some of this out because I want to make sure that those of you that are new to the space to kind of understand some of that. And as we go back to our project specifically, I've made no secret that getting credit card onboarding is going to be very important to our demand build. That has been a huge pain point. We have continued to make some good strides on that this week. I'm hoping that I'll have an updated announcement on some credit card related issues here in the next, what's today, Thursday? Probably won't be till early next week. But we're working on that. We're working on that hard. And I know a lot of people say, well, hell, how hard can it be to take a credit card? It's not hard to take one. We could take one quick. The problem is that when you take it the wrong way and the bank sees you doing something you shouldn't be doing, you get popped and you end up on a ban list. You can't ever take a credit card again. We can't risk that. We have to do this the right way. And when we look at the codes that we have to bill under for crypto, that's one thing. If we were just selling the NFTs, which is why we are approved for things like crowd slabs, That's pretty simple. But when you layer on top of that a sweepstakes that requires a whole nother set of compliance rules with crypto, and you're layering these risks together from a banking standpoint, they get squirrely about it. And it's been problematic, and I've made no secret about it, but we've made progress and we're going to continue to make progress. And that is going to be the big key for us to generate more demand in our ecosystem. The other thing on your Jordan fraxes and your Kobe fraxes, I've told you that those aren't the only things we're planning. There's other stuff that will come into collision, and I'm still very bullish that those other things are going to pull other people into that ecosystem for that particular project. And when it does, I think that they will find things like the Jordan and the Kobe. I think they'll find those things to be attractive, and I think it'll help drive value for you all. And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of give this little bit of a talk, just overall about the market. I know that anytime markets are down, a rich community is a happy community. And right now in the NFT space, everybody's probably not feeling super rich, especially if you came in maybe near the top. Not a great feeling right now, but I think there's a lot to be encouraged about. And I think the stuff that you have participated in Blokpax, we are going to work hard to give that long-term sustainable value. And I believe that we will. And so I would just ask that everyone be patient. Don't dump your stuff. You've heard me talk about the belief system. You got to believe. If the people that are here don't believe first, then it's hard to make other people that come in behind it believe. If you've got questions, ask them. Don't FUD in general. If you're not happy with something, just talk to us. Ask a question. We'll try to answer it. We got a Q&A channel for that. Hit us offline with a DM. Our team is very accessible. But let's all pull the wagon in the same direction. Let's weather this little bit of a downstorm that we're in right now in the NFTs, and come out of the backside of it stronger than ever with better onboarding, better demand building, better products that are more refined and better built, and just be ready to conquer the world going into 2022. So that's where I had on this video. I'll be coming back with a little bit more here a little bit later. I've got some really cool stuff to go with the Kobe, and I'm excited to tell you all about that. And I'll be back a little bit later this afternoon with some more of those type updates.